Let me try and bring up my slides. So Michael talked about an application change being deployed and sitting there, eyes on glass, trying to figure out is that deployment working or is it not? So with intelligent operations, really the first use case that we're aiming for was lights out operation, as in no one really wants to sit there and watch as an application deployment is occurring. You only want to be notified if something's going wrong. You want to be able to sit there and be able to revert it or take some action. So with intelligent operations, what we're doing is we're trying to help you predict issues. We're trying to help you determine hours before you typically would if something is looking sick, if it's heading in the wrong direction, or if it's trending in the wrong way. Additionally to that, I want to be able to fix things fast, right? If that deployment of that application change starts looking bad, I want to fix it before it becomes a customer issue and my bosses start yelling at me. So what if you could diagnose what is actually going wrong 5 times faster? If you're not sitting there at the screen, you need to get all this information really quickly when you jump in to figure out what's actually going wrong. Or ideally, if something starts to go wrong, what if you could remediate it in less time, right? What if there's automation available in ops, or there was a run book that you knew how to go to directly so that you have the procedures, you know exactly what to do, and you can actually walk through that either automated or via a set of steps extremely quickly. So what we're doing to try and help you achieve these is bring machine learning to the mainframe. This has been something we've been working on over the last year, a little bit more than a year, trying to actually take intelligence, embed it into your management systems. So we're taking machine learning and we're bringing it and we're putting pieces of that in SysView. We're putting pieces of that in NetMaster as an example to help fulfill out in some of these use cases. Michael gave a little preview about what we're trying to do. The vision that we really have is around intelligent mainframe management all across the different systems that you have, whether that's your system programmer looking at their performance tool, or your network engineer looking at their network tool, or your storage engineer looking at their storage tool. A lot of what's going on today is everybody has their little bits and pieces of that information, but we really need to bring it together when these larger issues come up. What we hear today is people say, I have all my boards are green, but something is still going wrong, and it just takes us hours to figure out what's going wrong. So what we have is we built this intelligence engine that's sitting in the middle of everybody on your team. I can bring in information from my systems management tools, my system monitors. I can bring in information about events and automation that has been occurring. I can bring in information from my databases as an example. And we can start to bring that in and do some stuff such as let you visualize that. So Michael was showing how we can actually show and compare metrics coming from SysView. Now we're in a point where we can show what's happening in NetMaster and what's happening in SysView. I want to be able to compare what's happening on my network traffic from TCP/IP, as well as what's happening on my storage arrays, and how that's impacting my database performance. So we can actually bring all this together, help you to look at it side by side and figure out what's going on. But also we want to take you from not just looking at screens and asking questions and running reports and trying to figure out what's going on. We want to help take you to that initial place or that potential root cause extremely quickly. We want to help you move from reactive to proactive, and that's where we're really bringing machine learning in on top of all that data that we're actually talking about. The first thing that we delivered and that we're enhancing again in this iteration is what we call anomaly detection, or my words is adaptive thresholding. We're bringing in metrics that are coming from SysView or NetMaster or Vantage as an example, and we're establishing what is normal for those metrics. We're taking it over, you're taking weeks of data in, giving you models back that say at this day, at this time, this is what we expect you to actually be at. We're defining automatically into the covers what is a likely range of operation versus an unlikely range of operation, so that the machine can actually give you heads up on when things are starting to look sick. Now, we try and put this in place with a variety of different algorithms and a variety of different rules, such as Western Electric under the covers, where we're trying to actually find where there's expected weirdness versus unexpected weirdness. An example down here on the bottom right, every week and a half, I might have an FTP job that ships some data off to a partner, at which case I see a spike in my MSUs. This is something that's typical, that happens every Thursday. It may actually, max out one of your CPs when you do it, as an example. And typically, if you had static thresholds set in SysView or something else, it might trip that threshold, an alert would be issued, a screen would turn red, and you being a system programmer who's been working on this for several years would know, oh, that's something that happens every Tuesday, ignore it. But if it's going up into your ops center with someone who just came in from university, they may start throwing fits and calling all kinds of people trying to figure out what's going on. Versus something like the anomaly that we're showing on the right-hand side, this is something we've never seen before. This is something that you may want to take some action on. This is something that's an indicator that something is just not working correctly. And so we're trying to actually phase out and figure out which of these do you need to act on, which of these should you not act on, and highlight those for you. So just like Michael was saying, I know a deployment or a release is going on, and I want to sit there at my screen, figure out what's actually happening. When we're bringing machine learning in, we hope that you're not sitting there at the screen. We hope that we can actually come in and help you find that a change has occurred in that environment and that you're starting to trend off of norm. Whereas in a typical world, we hear that may take a few days to show up because it's a slow creeping trend that moves in the wrong direction. Whereas with us, we can show it days or hours or days earlier using the analytics that we have that we're building into the products like SysView. So I'm actually going to hand it off to Bala at this point, and we're going to show you a real demo of how this is actually working. So Bala, let me hand this to you, and we'll show you exactly how we're actually implementing some of this under the covers. So Bala, I think you might still be on mute.
Dave, are you able to hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you now, Bala.
Hi. Good morning, everyone. I'm Bala, product owner for Mainframe Operation Intelligence. So as Dave was mentioning, we embedded machine learning and analytics into SysView, Netmaster, and other products. I'm going to show you how that power you to correlate things and troubleshoot and triage issues. So I'm in Mainframe Operation Intelligence user interface where you can see this is the Explore Analyze page where we organize the metrics that's coming from various subsystems such as KICS, DB2, and various metrics from SysView, IMS, MQ metrics, and TCP/IP information from Netmaster, and storage information from Vantage, and so on. So this gives you an ability to drill down your metrics and then find the anomalies or analyze your environment with respect to what's happening now and how it performed in the past, doing an historic analysis. The alert console is the page where you see alerts that's happening right now, the open alerts that's actually which the IT operations team need to focus on. Here you can see the metrics that's going out of norm after our machine learning algorithms identified that's an anomaly that needs an attention or that needs a notification to the user that gets triggered as an alert, and you see those alerts in Alert Console. So as I said before, you see I'm showing one of our development system where one of the LPAR actually pushing metrics from Netmaster, where you see the TCP/IP metrics here and the SysView metrics here, and an MQ, IMS, and also like the metrics from database tools such as CC for DB2 and so on. So I want to go through in detail about the machine learning capability, what Dave described. And for that, I'll take an example of a metric, which is job IOR. So this particular metric, when you select a particular alert, you will get the detail about that particular alert by clicking the details tab, where you can see when the issue or anomaly was identified first, when it was detected last, what is the highest peak value on this, and what is the severity. The green highlight shows the metrics in the graphical representation, where you can see there are three bands here, the darker green and a lighter green band, which represents our common and probable and rare conditions. So when the matrix goes out of any of these bands, based on Western electrical rule, the algorithms will trigger these anomalies, and you see the bubbles are the alerts that's reported for job IOR, for a context, for a path, which is the C11L path, and the job name is like OMVS is the job, and the metric is job IOR. So here, the more interesting thing, like based on your interest or your issues that you want to investigate further, you can actually further drill down into any of these alerts by selecting the particular time range, or using this elastic band. You can move and you can see more details. So the automation tab basically gives you, if this metric has been enabled with automation. For example, I want to send this metrics after a certain alert situation, and if the alert is send this alerts to OpsMVS, one of our automation event management tool that now we saw the demonstration. There is a facility to set up an automation trigger from the system. So the event will be sent to automation engine, and automation will actually analyze the message, and then it triggers appropriate rule and run the actions. So if there is a response from the system, you can see there is a wrench icon which represents there is an automation response back to the machine learning or the mainframe operation intelligence, and you can go through the details. So in this case, like it says it's given an acknowledgement. Same way, like we do have facility to do application study using CA mainframe application tuner. On a particular threshold, if you send the message to mainframe application tuner by configuring our rules, the metrics and the value will be sent to a MAT, which is mainframe application tuner, and the study will be initiated in MAT, and the result will be sent back to mainframe operation intelligence. So within the same space, you will be able to receive the result and go through the detail. What is the cause of, is there any opportunity to tune parameters to avoid this violation or this anomaly? If you are working with within the operations team, if you'd like to notify about this issue after your findings, the operator can go ahead and document his findings through annotations and notify through annotations. So it will be for collaboration, easy to collaborate within the team. The eSite tab actually gives a complete view of like how this metric performed in the past. So I'm going to go through one more important capability where you will be able to compare two different metrics and see like how the machine learn and how to compare using differential analysis. The differential analysis is a capability where you will be able to select two different metrics and compare it with certain amount of like in a specific time, and you will be able to see how these metrics perform and troubleshoot and analyze or triage the issue. So in this case, like I'm selecting like GUI system address space and selecting ASR, which is like address space ready to dispatch, and then I'm selecting an LPAR and I'm selecting another matrix to compare, which is on the workload manager side, and which is the workload performance index for the same LPAR, and I'm selecting a particular workload, and then I hit analyze. So this will take me to an analysis page where it loads the anomalies alerts that is identified are reported by the system, and also it gives you a historic view of both the alerts parallelly. So now you get an opportunity to compare two metrics in a specific time frame and identify, okay, what is the cause of the problem. So this is what we plan to demonstrate part of this session. Any questions?
Thank you, Bala. So the first question we have through is, which data sources are supported now?
At this point, from CA product, CA SysView, and CA Vantage, CA Netmaster, CA SysView for DB2, and we support CA DCI, which is Dynamic Capacity Intelligence.
Thank you.
And we do have integration. And as I said in the demo, like we do have integration to our automation suite, which is CA Ops MVS. And for DevOps integration, we integrated with CA Mainframe application tuner.
Thank you, Bala. So one more question. I'm afraid it's the last one we have time for. It actually asks for David by name. I've heard about V2, but I don't see that in CSM. When is it coming?
Thanks for that one, Matt. So we actually created what we call MOI, the standalone SKU, or V2, back in December, right? So we've been going through an effort where MOI standalone SKU, it's really focused around SMF and around people who want to use SMF. That's a separately chargeable thing. So we haven't made an official announcement back in the community for SysView or as an example. In the standalone SKU, we do have a couple new features we want to show. We're actually creating this intelligent operations and automation solution demo in February, so keep your eyes out. In there, we'll talk about a couple of things that are there, such as SMF as a data feed, or next slide, Bala. We also have what we call issue intelligence, or what we're starting to do with alert clustering. So in here, this is a separately chargeable option that we're bringing forward. So if you actually want to look at how an alert from Netmaster follows an alert in SysView or corresponds to an alert in SMF, we're actually trying to bring data all together from all those different places and find where something in the network tripped, and then something in my MSU usage tripped, and then something on my database actually tripped. So we can actually find where A happens, B happens, C happens automatically in the data for you and highlight it. So we're starting to bring this out. It's going to be integrated into that alert console that you saw before as what we call issues. So these are the more complex kind of alerts, not just anomalies or threshold breaches, but it's where we're getting into some multivariate calculus underneath the covers. We're going to talk a lot more about this in that session in February. Just look out for a sign-up. The second thing, Bala, next slide, is around what we call insight sharing. So a lot of the customers that we talk to, they've talked about, how do I, you're finding all these interesting things, but I don't want to lock it just within the machine learning and the products I have right now. People are asking me to send it out to Splunk as an example. So we actually have we have a capability built out on when we find an anomaly, or we can actually send that over an SNMP trap, for example, off into Splunk. So we actually do this in a way where instead of sending all the data, we just send what's most relevant. We send the signal and not the noise is the marketing spin on it, right? This is really important for something like a Splunk where they charge per amount of data ingested. So we actually cut down by 90% the amount of data we send to Splunk while still fulfilling that need that your CISO or that person out in distributed is saying, I want to see the mainframe stuff. We have some new ways of actually giving them exposure to that mainframe data without blowing your budget, right? So these are things that we want to show more in depth in the next solution demo. We also are bringing V2 back to SysView and back to NetMaster. So we've been going through some packaging efforts. The Spectre meltdown situation sort of delayed us a little bit, where we want to make sure we get the security patches into our appliance as we bring that out for you guys. So look for that sometime in February. There's an announcement that will be coming out where you'll have access to everything that Bala showed, being the green highways, being integration with MAT and OPS as an example, being able to compare multiple things from within SysView and whatnot. We also want to talk about some new options that we have available as add-ons to what you have in SysView if you're interested. So that's our plug for getting to the solution demo in February. I and Bala will be actually posting a community announcement on that in the next couple of weeks, telling you when it is. Just keep your eyes out so we can show you some of the more advanced stuff that we got there. So Bala, you want to